Hey, this is Dr. Cody Sype with another functional fitness tip for you. You know, exercises kind of fall along what I call a functional continuum. And that is, some exercises are more functional than others, and that is they have a better application to daily movement and sports activities, things that we do in daily life. And there are other exercises that are less functional. Now, getting the body stronger and more fit, all of that, no matter kind of what you do, does relate to function to a certain degree. So we don't kind of throw anything out and just say, oh, that's completely not functional, but some things are more functional than others. And so when we think about those exercises, my tip is for you to avoid some of the exercises that I consider to be less functional, some of the least functional exercises that are out there. Meaning that it doesn't mean you can't do these. Maybe they work into your routine for a very specific reason or purpose, but when it comes to function, there are other things that you can do that are just going to be more functional. So the first one I'll talk about is a bent knee calf raise. Now, if you ever go to a gym, you'll see this where you sit down, okay, your knees are bent, and a weight is on top of your thighs. And so now you're doing a calf raise, you're coming up on your toes in order to work your calf muscle, but your knee is in a bent position. And you might think, well, how is that any different than doing it in a standing position, right? Well, you have two muscles in your calf, two primary muscles, the soleus and the gastrocnemius, which we just call the gastroc, okay? And when you're out walking, climbing stairs, running, jumping, whatever, you're using both those muscles, okay? However, the gastroc is really kind of the bigger, stronger, more powerful of the muscles. And it not only crosses the ankle, but it crosses the knee. It's a two-joint muscle. However, when you bend your knee to 90 degrees, the gastroc pretty much becomes ineffective. And the reason is because it does cross the knee. And so when you bend the knee, that gastroc becomes loose. And when it tries to contract, it can't create enough force, okay, because it's too loose. Okay, so the soleus muscle is the one that's really responsible for a calf raise in a bent knee position. So when you do that bent knee calf raise, you're really trying to target the soleus muscle. And so the question is that a problem? And no, it's not a problem. Many bodybuilders do it. It kind of creates a well-rounded look in the muscle, kind of a full look in the muscle. It looks really nice. However, it's not really functional, okay? Because that gastroc is really the big muscle, so this more stronger, powerful muscle, and so that's the one that we really want to train. Plus, if you think about it, how many times do you have to do a calf raise with your knee bent? Unless you're like an NFL lineman that's starting off in a low crouch stance position, okay, which one leg is bent in front of you, you're probably not going to be relying on your soleus muscle too much. So that's one that we could probably avoid. Another exercise that really should be low on the list are just bicep arm curls. Just doing basic bicep arm curls. Now, a lot of people like to do arm curls because they just think, oh, it's got to be part of a well-rounded routine, where I want my arms to look strong. If my arms look strong, that means I'm strong, you know. And so, yes, you might want to do arm curls for the looks of it, and that is completely fine. But again, as far as function goes, there's not really a lot of application to function. You only need so much bicep strength. And if you're doing other exercises that work the bicep muscle, so like if I do even just a seated row, some sort of standing row, okay, that works the bicep muscle. The muscle is a secondary helper in that exercise. And so a lot of the activities we do, the bicep muscle is really a secondary helper, so it's not the primary muscle we're using. And you might think, okay, well, what about lifting groceries or luggage or carrying something? Doesn't that work the bicep muscle? Absolutely it does. And so if you are going to work the bicep muscle, instead of doing it in a traditional curl position where your palm is facing the ceiling, you might want to do it in a neutral grip position, what we call a hammer curl. Because think about when you carry something. You carry something, you're typically in a neutral grip position, right? You've got handles that you're holding on to, and then you're having to hold it for a long period of time. You're not just kind of going up and down, okay? You're kind of holding that position for a long period of time. So tweaking the way you do your arm curls would be more functional than just doing standard arm curls. But that really is something that's low on the functional continuum, in my opinion, because we do so many different other exercises that challenge the bicep curl while we're doing a movement. So bicep curls, a little bit lower on the list. The last one that I want to talk about is something called donkey kicks. And donkey kicks are a muscle that's supposed to shape the buttocks, right? And so these are popular in gyms, especially with the female crowd, trying to shape their gluteal muscles, kind of lose fat in their buttocks, even though it's not effective at doing so. And so a donkey kick is where you are extending your leg behind you, okay? And you're straightening your leg behind you. On a gym machine, that means you've got a kind of a pedal that you put your foot up against, and now you kick back against the pedal. This does work the buttocks, it really does. However, the problem is that it puts a lot of stress on the spine as well, and you will see people doing this in some really potentially compromising positions, because as they push back, they also arch their back, okay? That really is not good for the spine. And two, why are we trying to just isolate the buttocks muscle? That's not what it does, okay? When we do squats and lunges and deadlifts and so many other exercises, we are really engaging the buttock muscles, okay? Those gluteal muscles are really firing hard. So you don't really need to do donkey kicks to try to isolate them if you're doing these more robust dynamic exercises that I just mentioned. So donkey kicks, again, really low on the continuum. They're a little bit too risky in my opinion. You don't get a lot of bang for your buck, and so why do them? So those three exercises are ones that if you're doing them in your routine right now, you really should think about changing them and moving to something that's a little bit more functional, something that get you more bang for your buck out of it. I'm Cody Syke, and that's your functional fitness tip.